Hi, you're welcome to GMats Class. Let's solve this problem under quadratic equations. The first one, factorize 6x squared plus 35x minus 6. 6x squared plus 35x minus 6. Now the first thing is to get the sum and product. The product of this expression is 6 times 6 minus 6. 6 times minus 6. That is the product is minus 36. And the sum is the coefficient of x. Sum 35. Now, you need two numbers such that when you add the two numbers together, it's going to give you 35. When you multiply together, it gives minus 36. What are the two numbers? The two numbers must be factors of minus 36. So when you look at it very well, you have minus 36 times 1, or we have 36 times minus 1. Now when you look at this, when you multiply this and this together, you have this. When you multiply this and this together, you also have this. So 36 times minus 1 is minus 36. Minus 36 times 1 is going to give you minus 6. But let's look at the addition of these numbers. Now, when you add this and this together, you will not have 35. You are going to have you have minus 35, and which is not what we have here. But look at this. If you had 36 and minus 1 together, you have 35. So that means the two numbers are 36 and minus 1. Okay, so you incorporate this into this expression. So now this becomes 6x squared minus 36x or plus 36x minus 1. So that's going to be minus 1x minus 6. So you see, when you join this together, it will give you plus 35x. All right, so here now you factor out 6. So because 6 is common, and you also factor out x, you can see x is also common. So we can now say that 6x is common to these two terms. So we have 6x. When you divide this by 6x, you are left with x. Divide this by 6x, you have plus 6. Okay, look at these two terms. The common factor is minus 1. We have minus 1, open bracket, x plus 6. When you factor out a number, so by the time you open the bracket, you give you what you have here back. So when you have minus 1, you can multiply now. Minus 1 times x gives you minus x. Minus 1 times 6, you have minus 6. So that means what we have here is correct. So from here, you will see we have a common factor, and that is x plus 6. So now this expression now becomes x plus 6, and you are left with this 6x minus 1. So this is going to be the answer to the first question. Now, before we do the second one, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please kindly subscribe, like, comment, and share the video with your friends. And let's look at the second one. You have to solve 6x squared minus 5x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so how do we do this? You look for the sum and product, just like we did here. The product is going to be 6 times 2, and that is 12. So product is 12. And what is sum? Sum is the coefficient of x. That's minus 7. That's the sum. Okay, so now you need two numbers which are factors of 28. are factors of 12. When you add together, you have minus 7. When you multiply them together, you have 12. So what are the two numbers? They are minus 3, minus 4. Because I know 3 times 4 is 12. And minus 3 times minus 4 is still 12. So I will consider the negative. When you add this and this together, you have minus 7. So that means the two numbers are minus 3 and minus 4. You add this together, you have minus 7. You multiply the two numbers together, you have plus 12. Okay, so we incorporate this number into this equation. So we have 6x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so now the next thing is to look for common factor. When you look at this and this, the common factor here is 3x. 3x can go here, 3x can go here. So we have 3x. So when you divide 6x squared by 3x, you have 2x. 2x. When you divide this one by 3x, you have minus 1. Minus 1. And let's come here. The common factor here is minus 2. Minus 2 can go here, can also go here. So minus 2 goes in minus 4 x. So we have minus 2. You bring out the factor, so we have 2x. Minus 2 go in 2. That is minus 1. You have minus 1 equals to 0. Okay, so you can open the bracket to confirm whether what you have here is correct. So when you say minus 2 times 2x, you have minus 4x. Minus 2 times minus 1, that's plus 2. All right, so you factor out this number in the bracket. So we have 2x minus 1. So we are left with this 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Now look at this. This and this are actually multiplying each other, and the result is 0. So one of them must be 0 whenever you are multiplying two numbers together and the result is 0. So one of the numbers must be 0. So that means it's either this is 0 or this is 0. So either 2x minus 1 is 0 or 3x minus 2 is 0. Okay, so you move this to this other side. We have 2x equals to 1 or 3x equals to 2. And the next thing is to divide both sides by 2. Okay, so we have x equals to 1 over 2 or x equals to 2 over 3. So these are the roots of the quadratic equation we have here. All right, so now let's look at the third one. Now the third one, and the roots of 2x squared plus p plus 1x plus q equals to 0 are 1 and 3, where p and q are constants. Find p and q. Now what this one means is that when you solve this quadratic equation, these are the answers you're going to have. That is, these are the roots. Roots are also called answer, right? So we have to find these alphabets which are constants. So we have to find p and q. All right, so now what we need to do now is that since we know the roots of the quadratic equation, let's find the quadratic equation whose roots are this, and that will be equals to this. So we start by saying x equals to 1 or x equals to 3, because by the time you solve this, this is what you are going to have as the answer. So let's move this one here and this one to this side. So we have x minus 1 equals to 0 or x minus 3 equals to 0. So you bring this and this together. You have x minus 1, x minus 3 equals to 0. So you can expand this. So we have x times x minus 3 minus 1, x minus 3 equals to 0. Okay, so we have x times x, that's x squared, minus 3x, minus 1 times x, that's minus x, minus 1 times 3, minus 3, that's plus 3 equals to 0. So this and this can be joined together. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals to 0. So now this is the quadratic equation whose roots are this. And we also told in the question that this is also the quadratic equation whose roots are this. That means this and this are equal. So we compare the two equations. We have 2x squared plus p minus plus 1 x plus q equals to 0. Now I want to compare this and this together. Now it's clear now that the coefficient of x squared here is 2. The one here is 2, y here is 1. So I need to adjust this, or I adjust this. So let's adjust this one in such a way that it's going to have a coefficient of 2. So I will multiply everything by 2. That doesn't change that this quadratic equation is still valid. So we multiply this by 2. So we now have 2x squared minus 8x plus 6 equals to 0. When you multiply this by 2, you have this. 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 Okay, so you can now compare. So when you compare this and this together now, you can see this and this are the same thing. So the coefficient of x here and the coefficient of x here too must be the same thing. So we have p plus 1 equals to minus 8. Alright? So that means p will be equals to minus 8 minus 1. When this one comes here, the sign changes. So we have p equals to minus 9. Alright? So let's look at this one. Q will be equals to 6. Comparing to Q will be equals to 6. So 6. So this